The shot rang out, sharp, echoing off the quiet cul-de-sac like thunder from nowhere. For half a second, everything froze. The world went silent, except for the sound of my daughter's scream. She dropped to the pavement, one hand clutching her chest, the other reaching toward me. Her bike toppled over beside her, pink helmet, streamers, the kind of innocent scene that doesn't belong next to blood. Across the street, Karen stood on her porch. HOA clipboard still in her hand, gun smoke curling from the barrel. She didn't run. She didn't even flinch. She just smiled. Neighbors screamed. Someone shouted to call 911. My legs finally moved, fast, desperate, the kind of run you don't forget. I remember the smell of burning rubber as her tires screeched away, her voice echoing, "She shouldn't have been on my driveway!" I knelt beside my daughter, hands shaking, my mind blank but burning. I didn't know it yet, but the woman who just drove off wasn't just my neighbor. She was about to become the biggest mistake of her life. Let me start from beginning. The call came in at 4:17 p.m., Unit 12. Respond to a possible 1071, juvenile female, gunshot wound, corner of Maple and 5th. I'd heard that code 100 times before. A 1071 meant a shooting victim. But this time, something in the dispatcher's voice made my gut twist. She sounded young, shaky, like she knew who was listening. I grabbed the radio. "This is Sheriff Daniels." "Say again?" There was a pause. Then softly, "Sheriff, I think it's Emma." For a second, the air left my lungs. My hand froze on the mic. My brain couldn't process the words. I've been to hundreds of scenes, seen worse than most people could imagine, but nothing prepares you for hearing your child's name in a distress call. The cruiser engine roared before I even realized I'd floored it. Sirens screamed. Every turn was a blur of red and white lights. My mind kept flashing through useless thoughts. Her birthday party last month, the way she left her shoes by the door, the cereal bowl she didn't rinse that morning. Stupid, ordinary details, the kind that break you because they're so normal. When I arrived, I didn't park. I just left the car running and sprinted. Emma was lying on the pavement, surrounded by paramedics. Blood pooled beneath her shirt, just above her heart. Her little pink bike lay twisted nearby. Her eyes fluttered open for a second. "Daddy?" "I'm here," I said, choking on the words. "I'm right here, baby." She tried to smile, but the pain took over. Her lips turned pale. They were lifting her onto a stretcher when I finally looked up and saw the face across the street, Karen Westfield. HOA president, expensive pearl necklace, manicured hands, and that cold, empty smirk I'd seen too many times before. She didn't look horrified. She looked annoyed, like we'd interrupted her day, our eyes locked for half a heartbeat. She turned, walked to her porch, and dialed her phone, calm as a saint. By the time we reached the ER, I'd forced myself back into sheriff mode. That's what law enforcement does, we compartmentalize. I barked orders to officers, secured witnesses, notified forensics. Anything to stay focused, but when the doctor pulled me aside, all that armor cracked. "She's stable," he said carefully, but the bullet grazed the edge of her heart. "She's got a pre-existing condition, arrhythmia. One more major stressor and..." He trailed off. He didn't have to finish. My wife Lisa broke first. She sank into the plastic chair beside Emma's bed, whispering prayers between tears. I just stood there, staring at the monitors, the endless beeps, the sterile hum of the machines keeping my daughter alive. You tell yourself you'll protect your family no matter what, but no badge, no gun, no authority prepares you for that sound, your child struggling to breathe. The next morning, Detective Alvarez came into my office. He looked uneasy, like he didn't want to say it out loud. "We've got an ID," he said. "Witnesses saw Karen Westfield with a firearm matching the caliber. Said she shouted something about trespassing on HOA property." I sat back, jaw tight. I knew Karen. Everyone did. She ran the neighborhood like it was her personal kingdom, handing out fines for kids' bikes on driveways, trimming bushes to regulation height, even reporting people for inconsistent mailbox colors. But a gun? That crossed from control to madness. "She's got money," Alvarez added. 2 lawyers already called asking about misunderstandings. Of course she did. Women like Karen didn't believe in consequences, they believed in loopholes. That afternoon, I went myself. Not because it was procedure, but because I had to see her face. Karen opened the door before I could knock. Her perfume hit like a wall, sweet, chemical, nauseating. She smiled, that practiced fake social grin. "Sheriff," she said, folding her arms. "I was expecting you." "Karen Westfield," I said quietly. "You're under arrest for the shooting of a minor," she scoffed. "You can't be serious." That little brat was trespassing. Her bike was on my property line. My fists clenched, but I kept my voice even. "That's not how the law works." "The law?" She laughed, a short, sharp sound. "I am the law here. I run this community." That's when I said it. The words came out calm, colder than I expected. "That little girl you shot." I paused. She's my daughter. For the first time, her confidence cracked. Her eyes widened. Just a flicker. But it was there. She tried to cover it up with a smirk. "Then maybe you should have taught her boundaries." I stepped closer, my voice barely a whisper. "And maybe you should have learned what murder means." The cuffs clicked around her wrists like punctuation. As I led her down the driveway, neighbors peeked from behind curtains, silent, scared, but finally seeing the truth. The queen of the cul-de-sac was just another criminal. Back at the hospital, Emma was still unconscious. Tubes everywhere, machines breathing for her. Lisa was holding her hand, whispering lullabies through tears. The doctor met my eyes. "Her body's fighting," he said softly. "But any sudden stress could stop her heart." I nodded. Didn't trust myself to speak. I sat beside her bed, leaned close, and brushed a strand of hair off her forehead. "You're safe now, sweetheart," I whispered. "I promise." But inside another voice answered, cold, certain, dangerous. "She's safe." "Because I'm not done yet." I looked at the small rise and fall of her chest and made the vow I knew I'd keep. "She broke my family's peace," I said under my breath, "so I'll break her illusion of power. Because sometimes justice isn't about the badge. It's about being a father." The doctor warned, "One more stress, and her heart might fail." I looked at him and said quietly, "Then I'll make sure hers breaks first." The day Karen Westfield walked out of jail, the town split in two. Half the people were furious she'd been granted bail. The other half said she didn't mean it, that it was just a tragic misunderstanding. That's how people talk when they're scared to admit evil can wear pearls and a polite smile. Karen left the courthouse wearing sunglasses and a tailored cream suit. Cameras swarmed. She didn't look like a woman who'd shot a child. She looked like she was walking a red carpet. Her lawyer, slick-haired and smug, spoke for her. "This was an unfortunate accident," he told reporters. "Mrs. Westfield was acting in self-defense after being threatened on her own property. Threatened. By an 8-year-old girl on a bicycle. I watched it on TV from the hospital waiting room, my coffee cold in my hands. My wife, Lisa, threw the cup at the screen. 'She's making herself the victim,' she shouted. 'Our daughter is fighting for her life, and she's worried about her image.'" I didn't answer. I was too busy memorizing every word of that press conference. Every lie. Every calculated smirk. 2 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Sheriff Daniels?" A quiet voice said. "This is Angela from Cedar Ridge. I live next door to Karen." I braced myself. "Go ahead." "She's done this before," Angela whispered. "You didn't hear it from me, but she pulled a gun on a delivery driver last year." The HOA covered it up. "They said it was a misunderstanding. As soon as she said it, I knew it was true." Karen's type didn't snap overnight. They simmered for years, hiding behind power and paperwork. Over the next week, more stories surfaced. A teenage gardener she'd threatened for stepping on her tulips. A mailman who quit his route after she brandished something shiny when he mixed up her mail. A single mother fined for leaving chalk drawings on the sidewalk. Every complaint had been buried, bought off or silenced. I started compiling everything. Witness statements, recordings, neighborhood board minutes. Piece by piece, it formed a picture that made my stomach turn. This wasn't a neighborhood dispute. It was a pattern. A woman who believed control equaled safety, and anyone who defied her, even a child, deserved punishment. It was 6:42 a.m. when the nurse ran down the hall. "She's awake." Lisa and I sprinted to the room. Lily's eyes were open, groggy but aware. Tubes, monitors, bandages, and that tiny, tired smile I'd missed more than anything. "Hey, sweetheart," I said, my throat burning. "You scared us," she blinked slowly. Did I break the rules again? The words shattered me. "No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong," Lisa said, holding her hand. Lily's brow furrowed. I said sorry before she shot me. I said I didn't mean to. Bump her car. That was all she remembered. Just the apology. Just the guilt. The doctor came in quietly afterward. She's lucky, he said. But the bullet caused lasting damage. Her heart's weaker now. She'll have to live carefully, for the rest of her life. As I stood there watching her breathe, I realized something. Karen's bullet didn't just pierce my daughter's heart. It took a piece of mine, too. The courthouse was packed on the first day. Every seat filled, every hallway buzzing. Reporters, neighbors, strangers, all craning their necks for a glimpse of the HOA president-turned-shooter. Karen wore black this time, somber, her hair tied back. Her eyes wide and watery. If I hadn't known better, I'd have thought she was grieving. Her lawyer painted her as a pillar of the community, claimed she'd been under psychological distress due to neighborhood harassment. He even called her a victim of media persecution. I could feel Lisa shaking beside me. Then it was the prosecution's turn. They brought up the witnesses, the pattern, the arrogance, video evidence, phone records, the weapon purchase history. It all unraveled the image Karen had built brick by brick. When I took the stand, my badge felt heavier than usual. The prosecutor asked me to describe the night. I told them everything. The call, the drive, the blood, the look on Karen's face. Then came the defense's turn. Her lawyer leaned forward. Sheriff Daniels, given your position, are you sure your emotions haven't clouded your judgment? I stared right at him. My judgment is the only reason your client is still alive. The courtroom went silent. Even Karen flinched. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Long enough to make everyone anxious, short enough to feel like the truth might finally matter. When they filed back in, I gripped Lisa's hand. On the charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, the foreman said, we find the defendant guilty. A collective exhale rippled through the room, but then came the gut punch. Recommended sentence 5 years with parole eligibility after 2 years. Karen turned, smiling faintly, like even in guilt she'd won something. Her lawyer patted her hand. Lisa whispered, that's it? That's all her life's worth? I squeezed her hand tighter. No, that's all their system thinks it's worth. Ours will remember differently. Months passed. Karen went quiet. No more interviews, no more press. Her HOA disbanded. Her husband filed for divorce. The house sold for half its value. Meanwhile, Lily was walking again. Slowly, carefully. Every morning, she'd wave to the new mailman, the new neighbors, and sometimes even the flowers growing by the curb. She'd started saying she wanted to be a heart doctor so other kids can play again. Sometimes, when I tucked her in, I'd think about Karen, sitting in a cell somewhere, still convinced she was the victim. People like her don't change. They just lose their audience. One evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, Lily asked, Daddy, is she still mad at me? I took a deep breath. Maybe, but that doesn't matter anymore, she frowned. Why? Because being mad doesn't make you strong, I said softly. Letting go does. She smiled, that same small, brave smile that had carried her through everything. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Karen lost her freedom trying to prove she had control. My daughter lost part of her heart, but never her courage. Some people live to control others, but real strength is knowing when to let go.